at a north or an east view, I'll see there's the same wall. I can click it and drag it up, go back to my south view, and of course that's changed. And we can go in and we can use our align tool and say align using that, and then we can lock it. Okay, then we're done. Now all we have to do, starting to get smart, is we can grab that level and move it up, and of course that's going to move that wall up and down, and also any other walls that are drawn on that level too. Over here, for instance, you can see this is kind of grayed out. If I draw another wall, I'm going to draw a wall diagonally across here. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to go to my south view, and there's that wall over there. Same type of thing. It's constrained to that. So that's a datum point. We'll talk about that a little bit more. We can go in and we can easily create new levels inside of here very quickly. It'll add that component on and go back again, do my align command and align that, lock it to there, and we can start to see some control over our drawings. So template files will have the base information and views set up for us, and if we were in a multi-user environment, we would go file and we'd go down here to work sets, and we could say, okay, well, we're going to make some work sets. It's going to automatically create the level and grid work sets, which are shared work sets. Generally they're always shared because of course they're your levels and your grids, and then everything else gets moved to work set 1, and we're not going to talk about work sets here, but this is where you go in and then you would create a work sets on a central file after you've done a fair bit of work on it, and then you break the model up into work sets, and then individuals as they log into Windows can check out the work sets. And there's also a work sets toolbar that we can click on right in here, and then that work sets toolbar comes on and we can see information over there. So, and we can take that off for the time being. So right clicking on any toolbar shows you the other toolbars too, by the way. So if one of your toolbars goes missing inside of here, your tools, and you wonder where it is, you can right click and you can go back and you can grab that back. And this is our views one, and these can be moved around, but they can't be pulled off. They're basically locked down to your screen. So that's our multi-user. Views update instantly. We saw that with when we delete, move things, all the views are constantly revising instantly. Each view opens in its own window and we can tile it. We saw that. Callouts and details have smart tags. So the beauty of it is, if I go down into here, and I'm going to actually close this now. If I do close here, all I'm doing is closing that one view of that project. I still have this other view, and I would have to go close again, and now I'm in my east view. So if you want to actually close the project, you go File, Close, and it'll close. I'm not going to save anything. It'll close all the views for that because they all end up being windows inside of here. So closing this only closes that one window. File, Close closes the whole project and all the windows associated to it. If I go to my ground floor plan here, I can go in and I can put in, for instance, a section. I'm going to do a longitudinal section from here to here, and then it shows me the scope of where the section is going to be, and I can move using our grips back and forth. If I double click on that section, the section will go to that cross section for us. Beautiful. Right there we type SD and it'll give us a bit of a shaded view. Now I can go down inside of here talking about connectivity, is I can go in here and I'm going to right click and I'm going to say new sheet, and then I'm going to pick a sheet style. If I want to load one, I can go load a title block, and this is an RFA file, and if I don't see one and I want to make one, that's when I would have to go back and go File, New Title Block, and then when I go into here and say View New Sheet, okay, or I right click on here and say New Sheet, then I can go load and go grab that title block file. In this case, I'm going to use this default A1 sheet size. It's going to create a sheet. Now I can go down, and that section that I created is actually here because I was the second one. I'm going to drag that into my drawing, and as I place that on there, it's going to put it in there. Now it's way too big, and that's because the scale is set to be too big for that particular view. So I'm actually going to click on this view. I'm going to right click and say activate the view, and inside of that view I'm going to set its scale factor, okay, over here. And that wasn't showing right, so I had to stretch this back and forth. There's my scale at 1 to 20. Well, that's way too much for, I only need this at 1 to 50. So I'm going to change it to be 1 to 50, and it's going to make itself smaller. Now I'm going to right click and say deactivate the view, and now I can go and take that and I can place that over there, and I can also take this grip and I can move that over there. I'm going to zoom in a little closer, and now if I click on this particular object, there's two different ways of moving this around on the sheet. Okay, well, you grab it and you just move it around here, and to control the size and location of this, you actually click on this itself and move it. So that moves independently, but note that right now it says it's section 1. Well, I'm going to take what was my section, the first one on there, and then I'm going to actually zoom out here, and I'm going to take and put maybe an east elevation onto this drawing. I'm going to drag that over, and I'm going to place that east elevation right there, okay, and it's going to have a number 2 on it. Okay, now if I go back to my first floor plan where I took that section and I zoom in on this, okay, you'll see that it says it's section 1 on drawing A102. It's smart enough to know that over here on drawing A102, it is actually the second, or the first one, A102. Going back here just to verify that, 1 A102. Now if I go actually and change that sheet size over here, or sheet name, I can rename this, okay, and I'm going to rename this to be A106. Okay, note that the number here is changing, okay, which is wonderful, and it's going to update back, of course, on the sheet. And if I go to the sheet and I actually zoom in on the title block, okay, this is all good stuff about Revit. Of course, A106 is going in there, so I can click on this, and if I actually just type in a number, it's going to change that field right there. It's going to further down here reference, it's going to change that as well. Okay, and there's an elevation. You can see same type of thing. Double click on this elevation, and I'll go to that. If you double click the tip, that is, you'll go to that exterior elevation, and that then in turn would be dragged, and it looks like it's on this drawing. On this drawing. Oh, I'm sorry, my sheets. A107. Okay, and there's that one that has the wrong scale. I'm going to hit delete just to get rid of that. Okay, there's that elevation there. Okay, which is number 2. So if I go to my main floor plan, 2 on A107, okay, then I go to here, and of course there it is. Detail 2, A107. So all I wanted to do is talk about, we'll talk more about sections and elevations. Connectivity of the sections from the plan, where the view is actually viewable over here, and then when that gets dragged onto the sheet. So reference from the plan to the actual view of the elevation or the section, and then dragged onto a sheet, and they all update and talk to each other that way. Multi-user stuff we talked about, callouts and details of smart tags, schedules we can quickly export very easily. So if we're back inside of here and we go and we say view new schedule, and I want to create a window schedule, so I'll say a schedule and I want a window schedule, walls, windows, and hit OK, and I can say okay, I want the description, the count, the comments, the mark, the model, the level, the height, the width, the sill height, and all that stuff, and hit OK. It's going to create that schedule for me. Oh, there's only 2 windows in this particular drawing, not a very good example. And from there I can take that, of course, that schedule, which is now showing up over here, or I have a door schedule which is also created, and I can drag that onto a sheet. So if I go to this drawing, I can say okay, well, put that door schedule onto here, and then it'll place it. Okay, now maybe it's has to be stretched. Okay, so we can do that, or we can take this, and if we stretch this grip out, and then I'm going to take it and move it back down in separate parts. So in this case, we can use a grip to stretch our schedules, and then we can take the schedule, we can go file, and we can export that to an ODBC database. So we can export that to an MDB access database file, and then from there we can do whatever we want with it and do some costing and stuff like that.